My name is Tyler. I'm 34. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I work as the night shift manager at a large distribution center. That means I boss around 20 guys who load boxes of dog food and TVs while normal people sleep. Before this, I delivered pizza, then I filled in as a mechanic in a garage. No IT, no startups, no millions in the bank before 30. My ex-wife is Stacy. She's 32. She works as a receptionist at a dental clinic called Smile for Ages. Yeah, stupid name. Her job is answering phones, smiling at patients, and filling out insurance forms. Her entire salary is about $2,200 a month after taxes. But Stacy always thought she deserved the life of an influencer. She followed all those rich wives of millionaires accounts and was jealous of everything. My best friend was Jared. He's 33. We'd been friends since we were 10. Jared is the classic guy who can never figure his life out. He worked as a building materials salesman, a rental agent, even a dog trainer. All of it crashed and burned. When this story starts, he was working as a plumbing department associate at Home Depot. Made about $18 an hour. Had a ton of credit card debt. Lived in a stinking one-bedroom above a laundromat. Stacy and I got married in 2019, right before COVID. We didn't have a big cake or a fancy trip. We just went to the courthouse, then had some beers at a bar. And I was happy, because I loved her, and she, I thought, loved me. Let me start with what I was like before everything fell apart. I worked from 2 a.m. until noon. The worst shift. Nobody wants to work nights, but you get an extra $4 an hour. I took any overtime they offered. When they offered me the night shift manager position at $68,000 a year, I was jumping for joy. For a guy whose dad was a welder who drank himself to death and whose mom cleaned schools for a living, that was success. Stacy was proud at first. But then, when she saw how much money was going into the mortgage on our ugly house, paint peeling, roof leaking, but it was ours, she started complaining. All my friends drive new Hondas, and I have a 2014 Toyota. You're always working? We need to save for a baby. Then she decided she wanted a kid, but I knew we couldn't even afford a dog, let alone a child, until I paid down the house loan. Jared came into our lives slowly. He had another crisis. Got evicted for not paying rent. He came crying to me in my garage. I was fixing my old Ford F-150, changing brake pads. Stacy came out with lemonade. Jared complimented her hair. I didn't think anything of it. He was always like that, chatty and quick with compliments. Tyler, listen, can I crash at your place for a couple weeks? I'll sleep on the floor in the living room. I'll clean, I'll cook. I promise I'll pay you back as soon as I find a better job, he said. I looked at Stacy. She shrugged. Poor Jared. I said, all right, but no more than a month. We don't have an extra room. You're sleeping on a cot in the basement. He cried, figuratively, with gratitude. A week later, he moved in his 3 boxes of crap and his old laptop he watched porn on at night. I don't know when it started. Gradually, I think. Jared got a job at Home Depot, part-time, then full-time. His schedule was normal 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mine was 2 a.m. to noon. So I'd get home around 1 p.m., crash for a couple hours while Stacy was at work. She worked 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Jared got home around 6:30 p.m. Stacy was already there. They had every evening together. I'd sleep like a corpse until 8 p.m. They'd cook dinner, watch Netflix, laugh. When I woke up, they were already in friendly relaxation mode. First red flags. Stacy started talking about Jared more at dinner. Oh, Jared said the funniest thing today. Jared is so thoughtful, he brought milk. Jared gave her perfume for her birthday. Perfume, man. He'd never even given my mom a card. When I asked him, he said, "You're busy," and I didn't mind. That's what friends do. I bought it. One time I woke up at 2 a.m. My shift started at 2, yeah. I got up at 1:30 to get there on time. I went to the kitchen for coffee. I noticed the basement door, where Jared slept, was open. The cot was empty, and our bedroom door was partially closed. I peeked in. Stacy was alone. Weird, but I figured Jared went outside to smoke. It was cold. I didn't check. The thing is, they weren't careful. They just thought I was a dumb, tired warehouse guy who moved boxes all day. The key moment, my garage. I liked tinkering with cars on weekends. Saturday morning, after night shift, I'd sleep until 10 a.m., then go to the garage. It was detached from the house. It had an old couch, tools, and a radio. Perfect place to be alone. I don't know how many times they did it there. But one day, I forgot my flashlight. Went back 20 minutes later. I approached the garage, door unlocked, lights on. Inside, I heard voices. At first I thought Jared was helping Stacy find something in my tools. Then I heard it, heavy breathing, and Stacy's voice. Yes, don't stop, he left for work, we have 3 hours. I didn't break down the door. I slowly backed up to the fence. Pulled out my phone, started the voice recorder. I know it's not evidence, but I needed to hear it. Held the phone up to a crack in the garage wall. Recorded 15 minutes. Then I left. I didn't cry. I got in my truck and drove to the lake. Sat on the shore for 2 hours, staring at the water, chain-smoking cigarettes. Thinking, if I bust in now, Stacy divorces me, takes half the house, in Oregon, it's community property. I pay her alimony because I make $68K and she makes $26K. And she moves in with Jared. And he spends my money. No thank you. I decided on 2 things. 1. Gather solid evidence, not just audio, but something physical I could use in court. 2. Destroy Jared so his name becomes garbage in his own industry. I'm not rich. I don't have $500 per hour lawyers. I have mechanic friends, former coworkers, and knowledge of how warehouses and hardware stores work. The next 3 months, I played the dumb, exhausted husband, *. I started working even more overtime to give them more time alone. I even told Stacy, honey, our boss is going on vacation, I'll be working 12-hour shifts for a while, including Saturdays. Sorry, I'm so tired. She faked sympathy, but her eyes said she was happy. Jared said, bro, you're a hero, we'll watch the house. Yeah, you'll watch it, you dogs. I bought a $40 GPS tracker on Amazon and stuck it under Stacy's car bumper. Not to stalk her, but to track their routes. Then I bought 2 cheap Chinese dash cams disguised as phone chargers, put one in the garage, one in the living room. I knew legally in Oregon, secret recording in your own home with a guest is ambiguous. Sometimes allowed if there's no expectation of privacy. But I wasn't using this in court. I was using it to blackmail Jared and show Stacy that I knew everything. In the first month, I gathered video of them kissing in the kitchen while I was at work. Video from the garage, shitty quality, but recognizable silhouettes, of them climbing onto the couch at 10 a.m. on a Saturday. Audio recordings of 4 separate conversations where they discussed how to spend Tyler's money after the divorce. Jared suggested she ask me for $20,000 for back treatment, put it in her account, then leave. I copied all this onto 3 flash drives, one for me, one for my lawyer, one in a safety deposit box. I didn't have millions to buy a company. But I had information about Jared's job. He worked at Home Depot. And I worked at a warehouse that shipped goods to Home Depot and competing chains. I knew their return system, supply chains, and penalties. Through a logistics contact, I learned that Home Depot fines suppliers heavily for late pallet returns and sorting errors. Each store's managers get bonuses for handling returns on time. Jared worked as a plumbing associate. But part of his job was receiving goods in the evening when the main manager left. I found out his shifts and planted my guy there. A dude named Marcus who owed me for fixing his truck. Marcus got a temp job there for 2 weeks, just to observe. Marcus told me Jared was lazy and often forgot to process return invoices. Stuff customers returned, broken faucets, pipes, would pile up in the back. According to policy, after 30 days, the store wrote it off as a loss. I offered Jared a business idea, pretending to be a friend. One evening, after I was tired from work, I sat with Jared on the back porch, drinking cheap beer. I said, listen, man, I know you want to move out because I get how awkward it is. Let me help you make some side cash? I see on the warehouse what stuff gets written off. We could, take damaged pallets, fix them, and sell them on Facebook Marketplace. Jared's eyes lit up. He was always looking for easy money. I said, I'll arrange with my warehouse supervisor to legally take written-off pallets with damaged plumbing goods. And you, working at Home Depot, can buy the same faucets at employee discount, 10% off. Mix them with our damaged ones, fix them, and sell them as refurbished. We split 50-50. He agreed. I gave him $500 for the first purchase to buy 10 faucets at discount. Instead, he spent $300 on a new suit and bought 2 broken faucets with the $200. I pretended not to notice. Over the next month, our scheme grew more detailed. I actually started taking written-off pallets from the warehouse, legally, for $10 each, and fixing them in my garage. But I used Jared as the buyer and seller. All the paperwork went through his name. He handled receipts, customer communication, and accounting. When I collected enough evidence of his financial negligence, photos of him failing to process a return that cost the store $1,500 in supplier fines, I anonymously sent a packet to the Home Depot regional manager. The packet contained dates, Jared's shift numbers, photos of open return invoices, and a damage calculation, about $8,000 over 3 months. He was fired in August 2023, right before the back-to-school season when traffic is highest. He came home, to my home, my house, and sobbed like a bitch. Stacy comforted him. I put on a sad face and offered to look for a job while he stays with us. But I wasn't done. 2 weeks after Jared's firing, I accidentally left my phone on the kitchen counter. Stacy grabbed it to call herself. She knew my password 0000 because I'm a trusting idiot. She found my voice recorder with that garage recording and opened my texts with Marcus, where I asked, "You definitely sent them the photos of the return, right?" A fight broke out. Not physical, but screaming. I came home from my shift at noon. They were standing in the kitchen. Stacy was shaking my phone. You set Jared up. You're the one who rode to Home Depot. You recorded us." I calmly pulled the 3rd flash drive from my pocket. "Stacy, sit down. Jared, you too. You want to play fair? Let's play fair." I plugged the drive into the TV. Played the garage video. Then the audio of Stacy saying, his insurance will cover the treatment, we'll say his back hurts from work, and he'll take out $20K. Then their texts, where Jared called me a sack of meat. Stacy burst into tears. Jared went pale. "You're a psycho, Tyler, you're a sick bastard," Jared whispered. "Maybe," I said, "but that doesn't change anything. I'm filing for divorce. Here are my terms. You, Stacy, keep the house. Yes, the whole house. The mortgage payment is $2,100 a month. You make $2,200. Jared is unemployed. Good luck. Your lawyer will tell you that if we go to court, I'll show the video, and you'll get nothing but half the debt. And our only debt is $15,000 on the credit card you maxed out on your crap. Agree to the settlement. House is yours. Debt is yours. Car is mine. And we go our separate ways." Stacy signed the papers the next day. Her lawyer, the cheapest she could find, because she had no money, told her, "This is a decent deal, given that he has proof of infidelity that he could use to deny you alimony in Oregon. The judge will side with him because you lived with your lover in his house." 30 days later, the divorce was final. I moved into a tiny studio apartment in the industrial district. Stacy stayed in the house with Jared. He moved in officially, no longer a guest, but a cohabitant. Revenge? Not quite, but it was only the middle. Jared couldn't find a job. His reputation at Home Depot was ruined. Word spreads in the industry. Other chains would hire him on probation and quickly fire him when I anonymously called and said, "This guy ran a fake return scheme." Stacy tried to work, but her dental salary barely covered the mortgage interest. She stopped paying credit cards. 4 months later, the bank called and said the house was going into foreclosure. She begged me to help. I didn't answer. One day I drove by the house. I needed to pick up the last of my tools from the garage. Legally, I had the right. I saw Jared smoking on the porch, drunk off his ass at 11 a.m. Stacy was sitting on the steps, crying. The house already had a bank-owned sign. "Tyler, please," she said. "We'll be homeless. You don't want me sleeping in my car." "I really don't want you sleeping in your car," I said. "Which is why I'm suggesting you move in with your mom. And Jared can go to a shelter." "You're a monster," Jared said. "I'm what you made me," I said. Got in my old Ford and drove away. 2 months after they lost the house, February 2024, I got a call from Stacy's friend Jenna. Jenna was a normal girl who worked at a coffee shop. She said, "Tyler, I know you're divorced, but you need to know. Stacy is pregnant. 7 months along. She's been hiding it from you. Jared left her 2 weeks ago. He said he wouldn't raise someone else's kid, because the baby isn't his." I was stunned. Not his. They'd been screwing constantly. 7 months. Counting back. August-September 2023. We divorced in September 2023. Technically, the baby could have been conceived before the divorce. Even before I moved out. That meant the baby could be mine. I found Stacy. She was living in her mom's travel trailer outside town. She looked awful. Puffy face, greasy hair, pregnant belly. She had no money for doctors, hadn't signed up for prenatal care. "Stacy," I said, "whose baby is it?" "I don't know, Tyler, honestly, I don't know. It could have been that period when Jared and you and I had sex a couple times in the month before the divorce, once in early August, when you came home drunk from work and apologized for working too much." I remembered. It was a drunk, awkward encounter. I was so exhausted I barely recalled it. But technically, yes, I did a court-ordered DNA test as soon as the baby was born. It was a girl, named Kaylee. Result 99.98% mine. And here I stood at a crossroads, Reddit. I hated Stacy. But this was my daughter. I couldn't leave her in a dirty trailer with a woman who had no money and just split with her lover. I'm not that guy. I went back to my lawyer, the same one from the divorce. We filed for custody. I demanded full custody of Kaylee. Stacy could have supervised visitation on weekends if she provided proof she lived in a safe place and was seeing a therapist. Stacy resisted at first. She said, "You're taking my baby out of revenge." But her public defender told her, "Listen, Ms. Stacy. Mr. Tyler has stable income, housing, no debt, no record. You have no housing, debt, and you lived with a man who abandoned you while pregnant. The judge will give him custody even if you cry. Take the deal." She took the deal. I picked up Kaylee when she was 4 weeks old. I took 2 months of unpaid leave. I didn't have enough vacation days, so I borrowed from a friend. I learned to change diapers, mix formula, rock her to sleep at 3 a.m. It was harder than any night shift at the warehouse. But every night, looking at her little face, I felt I was doing the right thing. Oh, yeah, Jared. He's not dead, not in jail, not deported. That would be too sweet of an ending. Reality is harsher. After he left Stacy, he moved to Seattle. He got a job at an Amazon warehouse as a forklift operator. Seriously. He's still there as we speak. I know because he occasionally sends letters to Kaylee. Yeah, when she was 6 months old, he sent a teddy bear card that said, "I'm sorry I couldn't be your dad. I hope you're doing well." I tore the card up. Not because I'm angry, but because Kaylee doesn't need his hypocritical regrets. Stacy is getting her life together. She got a full-time job at another dental clinic, rents a small studio. She sees Kaylee every other weekend. She doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, sees a therapist. We're not friends, but we're not enemies. I even helped her with her security deposit when she moved in. Why? Because it's good for Kaylee. My daughter sees that we don't kill each other. That's more important than my pride. I'm still 34, still working at the warehouse, but I got promoted to day shift manager. Salary $74,000. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. Kaylee is 1 year and 10 months old. She goes to daycare when I'm at work. My mom, who retired, she still cleans schools part-time, helps watch her granddaughter. I found a girlfriend. Her name is Brianna. She's an ICU nurse, also divorced, with a 3-year-old son. We've been together 6 months. She knows the whole Stacy and Jared story. At first she thought I was crazy for planning revenge that long. Then she saw how I treat Kaylee and said, "You were just protecting what you love." Stupid, but I get it. Jared is still at Amazon. I don't mess with him. I don't care. If he ever tries to contact Kaylee, I have a written statement from Stacy that he admitted he's not the biological father. And I'll file a restraining order. You don't need to be a millionaire to get revenge. You don't need to be an IT genius. You just need to be a patient warehouse worker who knows how return systems work and how to sell broken faucets on Facebook Marketplace. And importantly, it's not just about revenge. It's about coming out clean with your daughter in your arms. Revenge without responsibility is just cruelty. I could have bankrupted Stacy to zero, left her homeless, made sure she never saw Kaylee. But then I'd be no better than Jared. Alright, enough sappy stuff. My break is over. I need to go check how these idiots are stacking pallets of dog food. Take care, Reddit, and don't be like Jared.